Hey guys, how you doing? It's Cliffe here from Voyager Project with another episode of The Quest for Tone. I'm kind of looking in this episode at a couple of discoveries really. I apologise, I am only on the camcorder mic, so maybe the audio quality won't be quite as amazing as you might hope, but hopefully it'll get the point across. If you've watched the Voyager Project update from a couple of days ago, you'll know that we haven't yet got back into the studio, so that's sort of why we're still in the dining room, still surrounded by mess, but I wanted to get this up here while it's fresh in my mind. I've been reading a lot about David Gilmour's setup and the way he runs things in the last few days. Mostly from Gilmourish.com. Bjorn's resources there are absolutely stunning, so that's a great resource for anyone who's into that kind of sound. And really I've been trying to use that as an inspiration for my rig, for the way I set it up. And in terms of that, what I've been looking for is clean headroom. Now previously I've talked about running rigs on the edge of breakup, and clean headroom is another one of these words that means kind of the opposite, which is a clean sound that stays clean no matter how loud you push it, how hard you push it. So in terms of the sort of things that I looked at for this, first way to do that is to run the gain really low and the master volume really high, and balance it that way, because that gives you much more sort of big, sort of full, warm sound, but without it breaking up, which I think is something that's really key to this kind of tone. Now something that I've sort of investigated to do with that is to do with tube selection. As you know, I use Egnater Tweaker amplifiers, 15 watts. They're amazing because you can pretty much throw any octal power tube in them and any preamp tube in them, and that you can really create your own tone from that. Now, how do I get clean headroom from a tweaker? Well, the first thing to do was find some good 6v6 tubes for the power section. I could have stuck 6L6s or EL34s in there, which might have given me even more headroom, but to be honest, and 6v6s sound fine. The stock ones that came, I think, were rubies that came in the amp. I've experimented with some peculiar, I think they're Russian military 6v6 tubes from the 80s, which sounded great. They were a little bit sort of warmer and more lively sounding than the stock tubes. But just recently I've put in some Tung-Sol 6v6 GTs, new ones, and they just seem to have a bit more body to them, really nice sound. But really the magic happens in the preamp tubes. If we want clean headroom, we basically want lower gain, so we can actually turn the gain on the amplifier up a little bit higher without it breaking up. So again, the original stock tubes, I'm not sure what make they were standard 12AX7s in all three valve positions. And what I did a while back, at the same time as I put the Russian military power tubes in, was I got some Czech Tesla tubes. Now that's before Tesla were bought by JJ. So they're quite old. I think they're from 83 or something like that. And yeah, they really helped the sound. It sort of opened it. It's like taking a blanket off. But they did break up quite a bit. So I've kept that in V2, which, if you know the tweaker schematic, is the effect loop driver. I do use the effect loop sometimes, not all the time, but yeah, it's a perfectly adequate tube for that. Definitely does the job there. But V1, which is the basically the preamp section of the amplifier, I wanted something that was just a little bit less gainy. So I got hold of some RCA, a pair of RCA 5751 tubes, which isn't some strange Van Halen album. They're a 12AX7 with slightly less gain. I think it's about 75% of the gain of a standard 12AX7 or ECC83 tube, but with similar tonal characteristics. They just lower noise and a little bit lower gain, so you get higher headroom from that immediately. And the final tube, V3, in the preamp section, it's actually in the power section, is the phase inverter. And I did a bit of research on the gear page and in other places, and various people in various amps, particularly 6V6 amps, recommended switching out the 12AX7 for a 12AT7, which again is a lower gain tube, which just encourages the power section to work a little bit harder. So the combination of the two has given me this amazing clean tone, which you heard at the start of the video. So now my guitar at the moment is going through nothing. No pedals are on. So no pedals are on, but I'll come to that in a minute. But my gain pedals are all bypassed. The G major 2 that I've got in the effects loop has no effects on. And I've not even at the moment got the EP booster turned on. So pretty much that's as pure a tone as you can get. And even with high output humbuckers, yeah, I've really got really clean, and no matter how hard I push, it doesn't break up at all. It's clean, it stays clean all the time, and that's exactly what I was looking for with these tubes. And it just really reflects the sound of the guitar. Now on single coils, it's just the sound of the guitar just really quite loud. So yeah, I've achieved that kind of headroom. The other thing that I will mention straight away is something else I discovered from David Gilmour, particularly at the on the Pulse DVD. But I've been struggling a little bit with using my chorus pedal. I've got an MXL micro chorus, bright yellow, nice sounding pedal, but it's only got one knob. It's got a rate control on it, which is great for setting the rate, but it gives a slight volume boost when you turn it on, which you can live with, but it's slightly annoying. And it's also a bit sort of thick sounding, a bit heavy sounding, because there's no mix control. So again, I discovered that David Gilmour used to use a Boss CE2 chorus pedal, but only on one side, only on the left side of his stereo setup. So what I've done is I've patched that in after I've got an RJM Why Not that's doing the split to the 2 amps. So basically I'm getting chorus just on one amp but not on the other, and that's giving me a really three-dimensional sound, but you're not hearing thick chorus. And because just one of the bizarre things about circuit design, one of the amplifiers is slightly quieter than the other one, despite the fact they've got all the same tubes in and same speakers and everything else, and they're set exactly the same. So the slight volume boost that I get from the chorus pedal just raises up that amp to the same level as the other one. So it's a win-win situation for me. So as I say, with it on, it gives me a three-dimensional lovely sound. And if I turn that off, then you'll hear that it'll go into, well, hopefully you'll hear, I don't know how well the camcorder will pick it up, it goes into a very much a narrow, one-dimensional sound. Which just sounds like you're playing through one amplifier, just loud. Whereas, let's say, when I turned the pedal back on, it just gave me this amazing three-dimensional space to my guitar tone, which is what I've been looking for with rack effects, various delays, and this, that, and the other. So there we go. So that's two things really: headroom and tubes, and how tube changes can affect your headroom, and just spreading your signal across two amplifiers and using a chorus just on one side can really help. Now, I've made some changes to the rig. I'm not going to go into them in great detail. Basically the only change is I've taken the carbon copy analog delays off the rig temporarily. I love them, they're fantastic. I'm going to use them again, but just for the moment, with the things I've got coming up, it was just, they just weren't giving me the flexibility I needed. So they've come off the board, and I've moved the micro chorus to after the amp split, which is coming from the RJM Why Not. I've put my RJM Mastermind back on the board, which is controlling the TC Electronic G Major 2 that's in the rack, and that's in the effects loops of both amps. And I'm running that in instant access mode, so basically for the 5 buttons I've got on the Mastermind, button 1 turns on the compressor section. Which, because it's in the effects loop, doesn't really affect the dynamics of the amp or the way that the distortion pedals respond. It just provides a bit of a boost to single notes and to balance them out with chords, which is really useful. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't want a compressor pedal. I haven't got one in the rig at the moment, but it does a different kind of job. Button 2 is it turns on and off the modulation, which I can program in for different sounds. At the moment I've got it set to a tri-stereo chorus, I think. So but it's a very, very subtle sound on its own. I can barely hear it. Just kind of thins out and 3D-izes the sound. Button 3 turns on and off the reverb. And button 4 then turns on and off the delay, which I've then got button 5 set to the tap tempo for. So typically I've got it set, because I'm doing quite a bit of music at church and things at the moment, you need that dotted eighth delay, so I've got a dotted eighth on one side and either a straight eighth or a straight quarter note on the other. G major 2 is the only thing that's running in the loop. All the pedals are in front of it, and as before we run into the EP booster, which I'll turn back on now because it just provides a certain magic something that's missing. Then we run into the noise clamp, which has in the loop of that the Sweet Sound Mofo Vibe, the full tone catalyst, overdrive, the full tone OCD, more overdrive, MXR Phase 90 Eddie Van Halen model, and the MXR micro flanger. And just quickly running through what they do. If I turn the noise clamp on, that enables that front row. So this is without anything on. So the Mofo Vibe. So that's set quite slow at the moment. It's quite a subtle effect, quite a bright effect. So it's great for playing leads, it cuts nicely. And the catalyst is very much set to just a kind of clean boost, just very slight grit, but just give me lots of sustain. Catalyst, OCD, more grit. Great for leads, great for crunchy rhythms. Phase 90 is Phase 90, so. And now I've got the script mode on, and I've got the speed knob set at about 10:30. Flanger, got the regen about 1 o'clock, the rate all the way up. So there we go, it's just a really useful set of pedals in combination or individually. So this has been Quest for Tone. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep working on that tone, keep improving. If you've got any comments, any thoughts, anything you'd like me to cover, leave a comment below. Please subscribe at the box up above, and I'll see you next time. Okay guys, take care.